The 49ers offense is finally clicking, but defense and special teams both suffer key injuries in Sunday's win over the Cardinals. I'll discuss the latest updates and nominate a 49K Player of the Week on today's 49K Pod.
You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is Monday, November 17th, a Victory Monday, if you will. And today I'm rocking the Victory Monday chain. Got to be blinged out for this glorious day. It's going to be back for a Victory Monday. Weston not able to join today, but we will have nominations. Or we do have his nominations. He did text me nominations and also players that he wanted to give flowers to. That will be later in the show when we get into 49K Player of the Week. In the meantime, we've got some injury updates to talk about today. We're obviously very happy about the win, but watching that game, we knew a couple of important players went down. So let's discuss some of the updates that we got from Kyle Shanahan today. First things first, Robert Beal Jr. Is in the concussion protocol, and Tatum Bethune has a high ankle sprain. He's expected to miss a few weeks. Eddy Pineiro has a hamstring injury, grade 1 hamstring strain, according to Kyle Shanahan. He's going to be week to week. 49ers are set to work out a couple of kickers this week. For them to figure out who they're going to sign. And before you say Jake Moody is not an option for the 49ers. Yes, Joel says at least they can't re-sign Moody. I kind of wonder if they would have, because he was on the Bears practice squad. The Commanders signed him off of the Bears practice squad today. So part of me does wonder if the 49ers would have brought him back had, the Commanders not done that. But a part of me thinks they would not have gone that route. There's a reason they moved on from Jake Moody, okay? And it would not make sense for them to just go right back to the guy who gave them all the problems, the guy who made them need to look for another kicker. I don't think they would have done it. I don't think so. But we'll see who the 49ers bring in for workouts this week. Kyle Shanahan said that was either going to happen Wednesday or Thursday. So we'll keep an eye on it. I'm sure there'll be a signing at some point. But, yeah, that's a bummer. Eddy Pineiro is going to miss some time. Especially it's a bummer because he's just been so reliable. And just having a reliable kicker again has, raised the EPA of the special teams unit, they're top half of the league now. So missing Eddy Pineiro, you don't know what's going to happen. I think we're a little traumatized by the Jake Moody experiment and thinking that, hey, not every kicker is, nails. And even Pineiro missed some extra points or has missed some extra points. One of those got blocked on Sunday. But he was nails for the field goals. And I don't want to live in a world where I don't have a kicker who is nails, with field goals. So hopefully they can get someone as reliable as Eddy Pineiro, but we'll just have to keep an eye on that. And then for Brandon Ayuk and Jacob Cowing, we finally got an update on Jacob Cowing. Both of those guys will not have their practice windows opened this week. Though I do want to say about this one really quickly before we get into anything else. I have a slide for this, obviously. So on Cowan and Ayuk, Shanahan did say that both of them are a, quote, week-to-week deal, and that he's sure that Jacob Cowing will probably be back some point after the bye week, or will have his practice window open after the bye week. And then Brandon Ayuk is just week to week. It's kind of what he said. But he did also say for Ayuk, when he had such a big injury like that, just waiting until he is fully comfortable to come up and start practicing. So we'll continue waiting. In the meantime, at least the rest of the offense is still good. I mean, that was confirmed on Sunday when Brock Purdy was back and looked like himself again. Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle are rolling. Ricky Pearsall maybe we'll need some time to get back into the swing of the offense. Didn't have much involvement on Sunday, but, Kyle Shanahan thought Ricky Pearsall looked good as well. Yeah, Foot asks, we're not going to CBA this year, are we? I don't know. Like, that's the question everyone keeps asking. It does feel like more time goes on. It's hard to imagine that, Ayuk does return this season. Now, whether that's because the 49ers have some ulterior motives to trade him this offseason, I don't know. There's been a lot of speculation about that. I've talked about it in a number of shows already, this season, in the last few weeks, really, but I can't say for sure. I am like a hopeful fan always, like, and sometimes to a detriment. Like, I always give the team the benefit of the doubt. And sometimes they have wronged me with that, right? Like, sometimes I'm like, I didn't think you were actually going to do that. And then they do. I am hoping, again, this is me being a hopeful fan all the time. I am hoping that is not their plan for Brandon Ayuk, and I'm hoping that he does come back at some point this season. But yes, only 6 games left. Time is ticking, and he still has not had his practice window open yet. The practice window is 3 weeks. Do we expect that as soon as his practice window is open, he's going to be playing the next week? No, I don't know about that. So, yeah, time's a ticking, but I mean, it was a big injury for Ayuk. It wasn't just ACL. It was everything basically that you could tear. So, yeah, maybe at this point it's been a year, a little over a year and a month, a year and some change since Brandon Ayuk had this injury. So, given just the severity of it, I think I want to continue to remain patient. And continue to believe that, maybe, just maybe he will come back this season. And maybe, just maybe, if he doesn't come back this season, he still has a chance to be on this team in 2026, and they're just getting him ready for that. But we'll see. Anyway, as far as the other injuries that I mentioned, obviously Tatum Bethune is also a huge bummer. Bethune's been filling in as the Mike linebacker ever since Fred Warner went down with his injury, and since Warner's out for the season, Bethune has been the guy that has stepped up, and I think he's filled in pretty admirably. But now he's down with the high ankle sprain, which we know a thing or two about high ankle sprains in San Francisco, and let me tell you, that could take several weeks. So Kyle Shanahan used the word few weeks. So yeah, I think that's going to hurt, especially for a defense that's already missing so many guys. But Kyle Shanahan was asked about, what the plan is for bringing in another linebacker at this point. And, Kyle Shanahan said, quote, "I'm sure we'll bring in somebody possibly for practice squad. I don't think Tatum's going to go on IR, especially with our bye week and stuff. So I don't know if we'll have the roster spot for that. But we also have Jalen Graham on practice squad, who would be the next man up. So we'll see how that works out with the whole roster." Yeah, elevating or promoting Jalen Graham from the practice squad, I think, makes a lot of sense for the 49ers. And I mean, yeah, and they probably have to sign someone as well to the practice squad. So that's what he's saying. Jalen Graham likely to be elevated. They did say Tatum Bethune is not going to go on IR, so they would either have to cut someone else or have Jalen Graham be in elevation for game days. And then I imagine they'll probably look to bring in a add another linebacker to the practice squad as well. But we did see Curtis Robinson, fill in as the Mike linebacker on Sunday. Kyle Shanahan was asked about how he felt Curtis Robinson did. And, Kyle Shanahan said he thought he did a good job and that Robinson has been preparing for this opportunity for a while. And then just kind of commended the entire defense for battling through the game, seeing as how they lost a few guys and, Curtis Robinson being out there for 82 plays and having to play both defense and special teams. So, he was pretty proud of Curtis Robinson and his performance. Now, we all hope that Curtis Robinson could put together more performances like the one on Sunday, and hopefully that there isn't, this a drop off from Tatum Bethune, right? Because the 49ers do have some important games coming up. Like that game against the Cardinals was one of 3 very important games the 49ers had. They won this game against the Cardinals. Now, next up, you have Monday Night Football against the Carolina Panthers. Panthers look pretty good right now, and they're in the thick of it as well as the 49ers are in trying to get some playoff positioning in the NFC. And so both teams, I think, playing for a chance at slipping into the playoffs, and that's going to be a good one. Again, prime time. So it's going to be a challenge, I think, on defense. They have Chuba Hubbard. Tedero McMillan has been awesome. He had a monster game on Sunday. And that was in OT that they won that game. So that's going to be a tough one. So definitely need this defense to just hang on, just hold it together. I think we can acknowledge that the defense maybe got bailed out at some moments in this one. And we can also acknowledge that they did a pretty good job considering that they're missing so many guys. Like we have to remember that, like there's so many guys missing, so many guys who were in and out because there were a couple of injuries, some guys who returned to the game, but Tatum Bethune didn't. So, putting it into perspective, they got bailed out on some plays by the Arizona Cardinals just being god-awful and, getting penalized all game. But, hey, I mean, you don't get 3 turnovers by getting bailed out. Like, the 49ers got those fair and square, okay? And they've been having an issue with catching interceptions thrown right at them anyway in other games. So for them to come away with 2 interceptions and then Upton Stout getting that goal line fumble, basically, like, huge. We want to see that sort of performance, that sort of momentum going forward. So, hopefully we see that against the Panthers. And then even the following week, right before the bye week, you got an away game in Cleveland. That's going to be a tough one. Don't overlook the Browns just because they have a bad offense. That defense is something serious. Myles Garrett is something serious. Kyle Shanahan struggles against the Jim Schwartz defense. And then also the 49ers haven't won in Cleveland in decades. I forgot. There was a Twitter follower of mine who mentioned the exact date or the exact year when the last time the 49ers won in Cleveland. And let's just say it a very long time ago. I think he said 3 decades or something like that. So not good. So can't take these next 2 games lightly. The defense is going to have to hold it together. The good thing is, Kyle Shanahan saw some good things from the defense on Sunday. So say what you want about the performance, but I do think there were some good things to draw out of it. Kyle Shanahan said he was proud of the defense. He said, quote, "I think we played a lot of soft zone, wanted to make them work for it to get down the field. Losing a defensive end in that game with Robert going down early in the game, playing with 3 defensive ends through 82 plays, and our linebackers in and out. I thought our guys grinded. I thought we kind of wore out big time at the end, but we were playing pretty soft coverages and just trying not to let them get back in the game. The yardage does suck, but sometimes that's how games play out. And with the turnovers they got and how they played throughout that game, I thought the defense was really, really good." Yes, I mean, we can't ignore the fact that Jacoby Brissett did throw for 452 yards. I mean, that's not great, but Kyle does kind of explain they were purposefully playing soft coverage and soft zone just to make them dink and dunk their way down the field, basically, and have to earn their yardage, keep everything in front of them. And it worked. It did end up working out for them. So here's one thing that I was going to mention that is maybe not so encouraging about yesterday's performance. One thing I mentioned in my preview show, if you guys checked that one out, is the fact that Jacoby Brissett, in his previous, through his previous 6 games or something that he had played, he had been under pressure on 47.8% of his dropbacks in games that he's played this season. 47.8, nearly 50%, nearly half the time that he's dropping back, he's getting pressured, which is the highest of any quarterback within that span. And, I did kind of see that as an interesting head-to-head because, Brissett getting pressured as much as he was, but on the other hand, the 49ers defense not generating any pressure. I was very curious to see how that was going to play out in this game. Ultimately, the 49ers defense didn't get any pressure really in this game at all. I mean, Jacoby Brissett wasn't sacked at all in this game, which isn't unusual for this team, but the real stat that's crazy is he was under pressure on 10 of 57. Yeah, he dropped back 57 times, 57 pass attempts for Jacoby Brissett in this game. The 49ers only pressured him on 10. This is according to PFF. I think someone else, might have been ESPN or something like that, might have 13 pressures. Anywho, that's still a really bad number. If we're going by the 10 pressure number, that's a 17.5% pressure rate. Keep in mind, he'd been under pressure 47.8% of his dropbacks in all his other games, in the span of the other games that he's played. So for the 49ers defense to only get 17.5 says a lot. And what it tells me is that the 49ers are not going to have a pass rush, at all at this point. It's done. It's done. You don't have Nick Bosa. I mean, yes, you have Bryce Huff. You have Keon White. Some good stuff from Keon White. I do have to acknowledge there were times where the 49ers were close. You don't get credit for being close, though. I mean, and the times that they were close probably accounted for those 10 pressures that I mentioned and that 17.5 pressure rate. So it wasn't much. And yeah, that's going to be a thing that's going to be an issue for the rest of the season for the 49ers. I don't see that improving for them. So unfortunately, you're going to see coverage not struggle, but you're going to see wide receivers get a lot of yardage. Michael Wilson got a lot of yardage yesterday. So maybe we could expect to see that going forward. Tedero McMillan, the big challenge coming up this following week, now into week 12. So yeah, I'm just not expecting the 49ers to get pressure on anybody at this point. They didn't get any pressure against CJ Stroud under similar circumstances in which Stroud, also one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the NFL. And that game, they didn't even have 2 of their top wide receivers. I guess for Jacoby Brissett, it was kind of the same thing. And I get it. Brissett was getting the ball out quick, but my goodness, it doesn't seem to matter for the 49ers. They're just not getting pressured. But anyway, yeah, that's not to get too much into negativity there. I guess before I get into 49K Player of the Week and nominations, just really quickly, I do want to remind you guys that if you want to look blinged out for game day, look no further than SF Gold Rush gear, because we say it's all about the details on game day. That goes for your fit too. SF Gold Rush gear has everything you need to rep the red and gold, from chains and earrings to custom pieces that scream faithful to the Bay. These aren't your average team accessories, okay? This is high quality 49ers inspired jewelry. It stands out whether you're at the tailgate, whether you're at the bar, whether you're watching from home, whether you're doing a podcast like me right here. I've been rocking mine all season, and I'm telling you, people notice. So head to sfgoldrushgear.com, use the code 49K for 20% off your order. That's exclusive to 49K listeners. All right. So make sure you guys use that. Look good, feel good, and rep your squad the right way with SF Gold Rush gear. But all right, let's get into the nominations for this week's 49K pod. And live chat, I'm curious what you guys think as well. Who do you think is deserving to be nominated for 49K player of the week? I'm going to go first because obviously I'm the only one here in front of the mic. We don't have Weston, but I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey. So Christian McCaffrey continues to be what makes this offense go. I mean, this offense continues to be his, basically, and he had another strong performance. Didn't have to do as much as a pass catcher, but still a big game from him. So 13 carries for 81 yards. That's maybe his most efficient game of the season, I want to say, as far as yards per carry average, 6.2, 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And then as a receiver, 5 catches, 40 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. And so here's what I got from Weston. So Weston wanted to nominate McCaffrey as well. And he said the third down full extension catch in the fourth quarter. Remember when we were all upset that Christian McCaffrey was playing with like 8 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter? Yeah, that drive when he had that full extension, awesome catch, but I was also like, oh my God, like not only is he still out there, he is putting his body on the line, making acrobatic catches and landing somewhat awkwardly. I'm glad he's okay, and I'm glad he was able to finish that drive off with a touchdown. Made me nervous, made a lot of us nervous, but my goodness, like McCaffrey, the athlete that you are, and the number 23 is just so fitting for him. He went up and got that one. Love the effort for McCaffrey. So that's one of our nominees for this week. Now, second nominee, and I see a lot of you in the live chat mentioning his name. We got to go with George freaking Kittle for the second week in a row. I mean, George Kittle just continues to show us why he is the man, why he should always be targeted, why he should always be part of the game plan for the 49ers. And I won't stop saying it because ever since I said it, I'm like, man, that's kind of a bar. Like he will reward you for targeting him. Okay. 6 catches off of 6 targets, caught all of his targets for the second week in a row. What a guy. 67 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns in this one. It was just good to see him back out there with Brock Purdy again, because those guys have great chemistry with each other, and it did kind of feel like this is what it's supposed to be like for this 49ers offense, and to have all these guys getting used how they're supposed to be. Love to see that for George Kittle. My brother, who I was going up against in Fantasy Football League this week, I think I mentioned that yesterday in the post game. I won, by the way. But I texted him. I was like, man, you definitely could have used Kittle this week. He traded him like last week. And I mean, shout out to whoever traded for him, because you got 2 receiving touchdowns. Probably got a pretty good day from George Kittle. Maybe you won your matchup. I don't know, but I know my brother didn't because he traded him away. Anyway, I'm glad he's on the 49ers. Now, I have one more player to nominate for 49K Player of the Week. And I was on the fence on whether I wanted to nominate him or whether I wanted to just give him flowers. But I think I'm going to go ahead and nominate him, because it just feels right. And it feels right because when I look at this game and I look at the 3 players who kind of dominated it, this player is included in my mind. And so we got Christian McCaffrey, we have George Kittle, and we have Brock Purdy. On Sunday, those were the big three, and I get it. Like Brock Purdy, 19 of 26, and he only threw for 200 yards passing. So like you look at that and you think to yourself, like, well, he didn't have to do too much. And that's a great thing. I actually think that's great. He was able to just do what he needed to do and go about his day. But that also included 3 passing touchdowns. And, as mentioned, 2 of those to George Kittle, one of those a 30-yard touchdown, which, he kind of checked out of the play, saw that he had a favorable matchup, and that's just high IQ quarterbacking right there. So much more than just stats. It's just how it looked, how he looked comfortable. He looked like the version of Brock Purdy that we're used to seeing. Hey, that does sometimes include the Brock Purdy who nearly intercepts the ball. We had a couple of those as well. I'm not going to act like those didn't happen. But that's part of the Brock Purdy experience. We got the full Brock Purdy experience on Sunday, where you get some good, you get some, oh, that was scary, but, thankfully nothing happened. And you got 3 passing touchdowns. So Brock Purdy is my third nominee. And yes, that throw to Kittle most definitely was a dime. And Rob, yes, Rob, you're fair to mention that there were some maybe missed opportunities from the Arizona Cardinals defense in which, Brock had some throws that maybe would have gotten intercepted, but they didn't. So we love to see another day. All right. So here's what we have for Player of the Week. Let me put the names up on the screen. Live chat, anyone who's watching right now, get your votes in. Who do you want to see as 49K Player of the Week for Week 11? We've got Christian McCaffrey. We have George Kittle, Brock Purdy, and end of list. Those are the 3 players. And it's not that I thought the defense was okay. Yeah, the defense didn't really have anyone deserving of being a nominee. And I only say that because, like, on defense, it really felt like a group effort, for everyone. And so when I give flowers, I want to say that Curtis Robinson, I think, definitely deserves some flowers. And I do usually give flowers to players who have to step in either because of an in-game injury, like player had no idea that he was going to have to play any snaps on defense that day, or, any snaps at all that day, or a player who's filling in for someone who they know they're going to have to start that week, but he's just next man up. Curtis Robinson woke up Sunday morning, figuring he was probably going to be on the bench and just play special teams, on Sunday. And after Tatum Bethune went down, I think he was thrust into this big opportunity to step up in this game. And I thought he did a pretty good job, all things considered. Now, there was a moment in which he went down and it was kind of scary. You're like, oh my God, we can't afford to lose another one. He returned to the game, so we're thankful for that. No injury designations for him, no updates on him, and an injury from Kyle Shanahan today, so he should be good to go. But Curtis Robinson, according to ESPN, 12 tackles in this game after entering to fill in for Tatum Bethune. That's big. So, yeah, we want to see that going forward. And obviously, when you're the Mike linebacker, too, you have a big responsibility to that defense and just being the main communicator for the defense out there. So that's not nothing. I think definitely have to give flowers to Curtis Robinson. Weston wanted to give flowers to Sky Moore. And, really it's with the kick return near touchdown. It was a kick return for 98 yards that he had to start this game. And really, you kind of wonder what would have happened if maybe, that return didn't happen and it was just your everyday average sort of kickoff and first drive for the 49ers. But I truly feel like that return and the fact that the 49ers were just able to punch it in with the Christian McCaffrey 1-yard rushing touchdown after that, like it sort of set into motion just everything else that would transpire in this game. And I said it yesterday in my show, my post-game show, that I really do feel like the game script for this game was perfect for Brock Purdy. Like he didn't have to do too much, right? And I feel like a large part of the reason for that was Sky Moore getting that first touchdown. Like, how much of a relief is that? Not to say that Brock Purdy was like nervous for this game or anything, but you've missed several weeks now at this point, and it's your first game action back. Like, how much? Like, I just feel like for Brock to know that his first snap was just a handoff to Christian McCaffrey, like I don't know, I'd feel kind of good after that. And then okay, your team is up 7-0. Next time you go out there, you feel a little more comfortable because you're like, okay, we're up. Like, I don't have to do too much. I don't have to feel like I got to put the team on my back. I just got to do what I do. And that's exactly what Brock Purdy did. But all that to say that maybe it would have been a completely different game flow, game script, had it not been for the Sky Moore kick return to start this game. So I think that's a good one. Flowers for Sky Moore. He has been close to a big one for the last few weeks, I feel like. And so this one feels like it was due. And I think I would not be surprised if by the end of the season, he did end up having a return touchdown for one of those. So shout out Sky Moore, shout out Curtis Robinson. And I have a flowers that I want to give to a trio of guys as well. So I'm going to, virtually hand out my flowers to them. One pedal for you, one pedal for you. Upton Stout, Dalmador Lenore, and Malik Mustafa for their contributions in turnovers. I mean, Mustafa, Lenore, our DBs have hands? What? I didn't know this. I didn't know you guys had hands. Like, you guys could catch? Finally. You guys hit the jug machine? Cool. All right, so 2 interceptions in one game, like that feels pretty good. And then you got Upton Stout, another rookie with a goal line, forced fumble, and also against a division opponent. Like, that feels good. That feels good. That was a great play from Upton Stout. Heads up play, and just like Alfred Collins said in week 5, it was a gotta have it play. At that point, the 49ers were like way ahead, but still, it did definitely help. So shout out to those 3 guys for contributing to the turnovers on Sunday. Fellas, we're going to need way more than that in the coming weeks. Hopefully we could get another turnover come Monday night against the Panthers. All right, y'all. Really quickly, just last minute here. Continue to get your votes in for 49K Player of the Week. I'm going to go back and see what did Weston say. Okay, he did give me his vote of who he would go with. So I will say it's not unanimous, people. So continue to get your votes in. All right, I'm going to go with Kittle. Weston went with CMC. Let me get to these comments here. I saw someone say like Pooney for Flowers. Oh, Tony said, you only got love for the offensive line. Dominic Pooney being healthy is huge. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very tough to give praise to offensive line players because they don't really fill the stat sheet. It's more so about not filling the stat sheet for them. Like, if you have stats as an offensive lineman, that's bad. So it's kind of hard to like gauge their impact. But I will say, like, I mean, the run blocking has been so much better the last few weeks. We've seen that Dominic Pooney does look much healthier than he did to start the season. I know that PCL injury that he suffered in the offseason and camp really impacted him to start. And, maybe he's still dealing with some of that, but he definitely looks better these last few weeks. That's made a difference. The 49ers rotating left guard, you're still seeing Ben Barch, you're still seeing Spencer Burford. And I gotta tell you, like, I kind of like it, like it's not that Ben Barch was ever bad, right? But Spencer Burford is good too. Ben Barch's problem has been staying healthy, but if you rotate them, it you keep them both fresh and you keep Ben Barch healthy. So I like it. It's working out for them. I don't know how they figure out who gets what snaps or whatnot, but it seems to be working for them. Trent Williams also didn't allow any pressures in this game. I know Josh Sweat, is a handful, and he got over on some guys there, had the one sack on Brock Purdy. But all in all, yeah, I'll give flowers to the entire offensive line, Tony. Thank you for that. I mean, yeah, we gotta shout him out when the big man do good. All right, Callie says he likes the shirt. Yeah. Super Bowl shirt here. 1995 Super Bowl. I like collecting vintage 49er tees. Like to thrift them. All right, let's see. Yeah, Pooney's playing better. Burford, the starter at left guard from now on. No, I think they're rotating them still. All right, you guys are getting a couple of last minute votes in. Love it, love it. But I gotta say, it's not gonna change the outcome. It looks like George Kittle, for the second week in a row, is your 49K player of the week for week 11. All right. And I appreciate all of you guys. Again, missing Weston. Shout out to Weston. He'll be back next week. He's on a work trip right now. But thank you guys for holding it down, for being okay to listen to me yap for, good 40 some minutes right now, or almost 40 minutes. So make sure you guys like this video if you haven't yet. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Hit that notification bell so you know when I go live. Tomorrow going to be on Bully Bowl, the Gold Standard Network. But on YouTube, you'll get to see it here. Appreciate all of you. And again, make sure you guys check out sfgoldrushgear.com if you want some of this jewelry, some of this 49ers bling for game day. Appreciate all of you. For now, folks, have a good rest of your Monday. Enjoy the rest of this Victory Monday. And then we move on to the Carolina Panthers. For now, peace.